Welcome back to another edition of the No Stopping Kev Show. I'm your host, Kevin, aka No Stopping Kev, and as always, Pops is in the building.
Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm chilling. Want to get right into it because I feel like we have a little bit of a tighter timeline today. But, last week, we got to see something great happen with the Hall of Fame induction. So last week we saw three pretty, notable guys being inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame. Those guys being Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Kobe Bryant. I feel like we're finally at the stage where a lot of the guys going into the Hall of Fame are guys that I actually got to see play, which is pretty cool for someone like myself. What did you think of the inductees?
I liked it, all three of them. Yeah. And I watched all three of them.
Well, I bet you did. I mean, like, you are. No comment. I thought I didn't get to watch the ceremony because I was actually out of town attending someone's graduation. But did you watch the ceremony?
I watched some of Kobe induction. I didn't really see the other ones.
Yeah, I love Vanessa's speech too. It felt like she really channeled her inner Kobe, or I feel like she probably knew him better than anyone, and that kind of shined through in her speech. And so one of the biggest things for me, or one of the things I liked the most about what she had to say, was it was really two things. So one is, kind of speaking to why Kobe made it a point to play every night. He understood that some people make a big sacrifice to come see him play. And so when players don't play, you make people kind of waste money that they, in a sense, didn't have or take a long time to get. So, he made it a point to keep his fans happy because he cared about them a lot. And then the other thing that I liked a lot was her speaking about, kind of thinking all his critics, all the people that said he wouldn't be successful or reach the heights that he's reached, because those things were motivation for Kobe to keep him going.
One thing, and I like what you just said, and one thing I got to come back at you with at that. I think that was part of a discussion one time when we were talking about players not playing and sitting out to stay healthy to play in the playoffs and stuff like that. And like that's what I said. I never feel that a player should take off just to rest or get ready for the playoff. I think that a player should play every night.
I mean, you think, but it also depends. Like, not everybody. Kobe was a relatively durable guy until later in his career, but everyone doesn't have that same ability. Like, you look at a guy like Russell Westbrook, he's rarely ever hurt for a guy that plays, balls to the wall for 48 minutes if he has to. Not everyone has that durability. So if you're looking at the long run game, if you want to give yourself the best odds there, sometimes you got to rest guys.
But you being paid to play.
But also, if your boss says you don't have to play, it's a PTO day. Yeah, I can also, just like I pay you, I can also pay you to rest.
But see, that's what I'm saying. But see, like I think like you were saying, Kobe not cheating the fans. And for people that can't, when you do that, for the people that help paying that salary, is getting cheated.
Fans, that's what I just always felt. And like, fans also won championships. So like me, it's like, I can go to a game and Embiid might be sitting on. I'm like, this sucks. I just got to watch Ben Simmons. But if that means the Sixers are in a position to give me a parade on Broad Street in June or July this year, whenever it is, I can live with that.
So okay, I'm a LA fan. LA come here, and I use my money. I can only afford to go to this one game. Do you think I'm really worried about that championship, or do you think I'm worried about seeing him play this game in person?
Well, knowing what I know about true Lakers fans, they want the gold. But I understand that point. I understand that it's like I I know people that have been there. I paid to go see the Heat come to town one time back when they had the big three, and none of them played. So that sucked. But I also understand why players don't always play every night. So yeah, it's tough. It's you can call it cheating the fans, what have you, but ultimately these organizations have their own goals and there's a means to getting there. And I get that side of it too.
Well, I guess we could go at this back and forth all day long. So we'll just leave it. I'll just leave that alone and leave it there.
What did you think of Vanessa's speech? Anything stood out to you?
Well, the both of the things that you said really stood out to me. And what else stood out to me, how he really was dedicated to working too, and how he really put forth.
Yeah, I think Kobe is how they do memes online, like if insert saying here was a person, it would be like for Kobe, it would be like if the if impeccable work ethic was a person or something like that. Just because right. I feel like, he, even when he talks about his like routine, so when Kobe once broke down kind of his schedule, getting up 4 a.m, going to the gym, working out, coming back home, maybe taking a nap, eating, going back to the gym. It just, when he broke down the things he did, you understood why he was as great as he was, and also why he was in that GOAT conversation category.
Well, I agree with his work ethic and what really made him great too. I think he was gifted. I think, it really had to do with his determination too, how determined he was to be the best. And, and he idolized, and I must use the word like kind of idolized Michael Jordan. So, and they talk about how he patterned his game like after that.
Yeah, and I guess, you see why he's in that category. You got the Jordan, LeBron, Kobe tier of GOATs. And then, you have some people under that. I said tier. I'm putting them all in the same category. Unlike.
But you left one out.
Who?
Magic.
No, Magic's not in their tier.
No?
No.
What makes Magic not in that tier?
He's not in that tier.
Why not?
He's never in that tier. Only 2% of people put Magic in that tier. He's not one of those guys. I also was thinking too, I was like, I wonder if Magic was not drafted by the Lakers. Let's say he was drafted to some small, like a Seattle, Washington. Would Magic have still been the Magic we know of? I'll probably say not, because living in LA, being in that market, you attract a lot more talent around you compared to other franchises.
But you got to remember, he was a champion in high school. He was a champion in college.
Yeah, we're talking about NBA basketball. We're talking about NBA basketball.
What you talking about?
We're talking about NBA basketball.
Okay, well, when you talk about NBA basketball, you can't say if he wasn't there, because you got to speak on reality where he was.
But you can't say that though. You can say that. You can say that.
But you know what? But Magic probably would have made any team and anybody better. That was just his game. Like, that was just him. You can now, when you saying that he would have played somewhere else, you've taken away from a man's game that proven to do this.
I'm not taking away from his game. We just didn't see that. So I mean, it's a question.
You mean you don't see it? I see it.
You didn't see him play anywhere else,
huh?
You didn't see him play anywhere else.
Cause he did. I'm talking about, but his type of game. You don't need to see somebody play somewhere else to know what type of game that they got.
So what makes you say Magic is a GOAT? Run that down for me.
First of all, he won championships. With who? You know what? He the one that initiated Showtime. Magic made people better. You look at his accolades. Now you gonna say he wouldn't have did that nowhere else? He still could pass the ball.
Those LA teams though were stacked.
But he still got them the ball.
So
see,
he was a super team, Dad.
You know what?
That's a super team.
What?
His LA
but you know
team,
what?
Super
but
team.
you know what? You know what? Kareem was good as he is.
Kareem
but
is
you know
the
what?
top
You
scorer
still
in
had
NBA
to have somebody.
Kareem was the top scorer in NBA history.
What?
LeBron ain't never had a top scorer in NBA history on his team. He had to be that guy. He's what, number 3 now? That's why Magic not in that category.
Magic. You
not
know what? We'll argue that all day long. You know what? Magic still made players better.
Sure. Just
he
like
still made them better.
Guys.
He ran that offense. Before, look, remember this too. We take this in consideration too. Magic won the championship in his rookie year. He was the MVP of the playoffs in his rookie year.
That's great.
In Game 6, Kareem did not play. The major person didn't play. He came out with a triple-double as a rookie.
They still had other guys on that team.
As a rookie, but look what he done as a rookie without their
point guard.
Hold up, without their top scorer. He did not play in that final game.
Again, that team was stacked. He was drafted
team. But what did they do without Magic the year before with a stacked team?
So I'm not saying, you tell me.
What did they do the year before before Magic came in? They didn't win it with that stacked team.
How far did they?
They had this. What they did was really added Magic to the team they had. And what did they do? Where did they go?
Okay. So how far did they go the year before?
So let me see.
Answer my question. Answer my question.
What's your question?
How far did they go the year before?
I don't remember how far they went, but I know they didn't win it. Let me see. When LeBron left Cleveland and went to Miami, they didn't win it, and they had some stacked players. They had some stacked players too.
They went to the final.
When he went back to LA and built a team in LA, they didn't win it his first year.
Did he play that full year, his first year?
But you know what? They didn't win it.
But did he play though?
Huh?
Did he play though?
Yeah. Let's see what they do this year.
He did not play.
Let's see what he do this year.
We're going to see who won it last year.
Let's see. You know what? With a half bubble coronavirus season.
Everybody is playing in the same damn bubble.
You know what? You know what? It still affected people. It's still. Let's see this year.
How? It affects everybody.
You know what? Let's see if they win it this year.
It affects everybody the same way.
Let's see if they win it this year.
You're just a LeBron hater. Just accept the
I'm not hating LeBron. I just put LeBron. Last week I didn't hate on LeBron.
Magic just isn't in that top tier of GOATs. He's just
Magic should be. There's no doubt about it.
There is some doubts.
I picked Kobe in front of LeBron. In the GOAT thing.
Me too.
You know, so you know what? Like I said, I ain't taking nothing away from LeBron. The era that LeBron is really playing in, I think is weaker. I think because the game has changed to me, and this is because maybe I'm biased to the other era, or the era where I came up with. But we say, and everybody talk about how soft it is now. You know, how many NBA players and players that played that even talk that? How many former NBA players that maybe played against LeBron and played against Michael still say Michael is the GOAT over him?
I mean, that's like what Dr. J did with his list. They go with the older guy. So I don't care about that.
I know you don't.
As far as, the game was tougher back in the day. Y'all act like guys today wouldn't have adapted to that style of play. You think about it, guys today, like LeBron's bigger than everybody from back then. He'd have been running them over. He would have been taking a beating, but he know what? Adapted.
You know what?
You act like he's a princess.
You know what?
No.
The league is more of a princess league now. I mean, you know what? Even you playing, like, you know what? I got to play against some of the players before. And like, you know what? Like now, I look at the game last night, and I look at how like, you know what? It's more for entertainment now than it was before. It's about, you know what? It's more like, and I ain't even gonna say it's even better, but it's just more. Like I watched the game. I watched Dallas and LA yesterday, the Clippers yesterday. You know, it just like, to me, you know, people could just go to the basket so easy. See, back in the day, they're not gonna let you. And how many people can take that punishment today without really wanting to fight?
Well, also the game is different today because you have more space because guys are on the 3-point line. So that makes avenues to the basket a lot easier.
You know what?
And you can't just leave an open shooter in the corner to come over and help to go hack a guy, because once he kicks that out, now you're giving up threes. So it's not always, you know, guys would just beat you down when you got to the room. The game has changed in the way that it's played.
It's like yesterday, that LA game. Like, you know what? You know what? Like, I understand about that, and I understand just like they want to take the ball out of how you pronounce his name?
Luka Doncic.
Yeah. Like he had 30. You know what? They were so, like, you know what? For me, you know what? They were sending a double team too early to take the ball out of his hands for me. The Clippers, like Tyrone Lue, that was to me. And it's only to me. I wouldn't be doing that, because then, like you said, it's so much more space now. It's so much more. So now you gotta, like, to me, sometimes you gotta play a little bit more straight up. You gotta play them. You can't just be running double team, because, like you saying, you got some shooters today, and believe me, people do be knocking them threes down. I gotta agree with you on that.
Going back to what you said earlier, the year before Magic got there, so in '78, the Lakers were the 5th seed. They lost to the 4th seeded Seattle Supersonics.
In the first round?
In the first round.
Oh. And the next year, they did what with Magic King?
They won the championship.
Oh,
so they went from 4th to 1st and winning it. But how about a guy who can take a team that was a lottery team to the championship and win it?
What lottery team he took and won it?
Status.
What lottery team he took and won it?
Status. That's GOAT status. LeBron.
What lottery? Who are we talking about? What are we talking about?
LeBron takes teams of scrubs.
What lottery team did he took and win the championship the next year?
That Cleveland team wasn't nothing. They weren't winners before he got there.
Before he got there,
LA team wasn't winners.
He had Kyrie Irving. He had Kevin Love. Kevin Love came when he came back, right?
They brought Love there.
Right, he brought Love there. Kyrie was there by himself. And how many seasons was Kyrie?
And they had drafted Wiggins, but then they shipped Wiggins out.
How many years was Kyrie there before LeBron came back?
How many years was he in Miami? I want to say, let's see. But they drafted Wiggins that year, and then LeBron had them ship Wiggins out of there. So that was a lottery team. They won a lottery team. They were like the number 2 or 3. They had the number 2 or 3 pick coming into that season and drafted Wiggins, and it just so happened LeBron was like, "I'm not playing with this trash dude. Get him out of here."
I mean, like I said, I don't take nothing. I say LeBron is good like that, but like I'm just saying, like when I really looked at it, and like I think Michael Jordan is great, but when I had to look at
teams were better than LeBron's Cleveland team.
But they won champions.
Who?
Magic came his rookie year and led them to the championship. When they had their 9 number 1 score, like, you know what? When Kareem was Kareem went down,
that was in one series. They didn't have
when Kareem went down. But you don't think Magic was a big part the whole year?
Yeah, sure he was. But
he was a person that kind of changed the game. He was the one that brought big guards into being a big guard.
Sure.
A point guard.
Sure, he's still just not in that. He doesn't have the same classifications as MJ, LeBron, and Kobe.
To you.
Sorry.
See, one thing we talk about, MJ really, in a way, won 6 championships in a row, but actually we know it still wasn't 6 championships in a row. Nobody, he got 2 3-peats. Now, we can't say that about Magic. We can't say that about LeBron. We can't say that.
So what you saying?
But Magic won. What Magic and them just won back to back. Magic just won back to back too, right?
Kobe has a 3-peat.
Kobe and Shaq got a 3-peat, right? What I'm saying is, we looking at some things now, and we getting to some things. But what LeBron, he got back to back, right? He got one back to back. Right? In Miami. He won back-to-back in Miami, right?
Yeah. So what's your point?
I'm just saying, but we talking about, like, Magic got a 3-peat.
No, he does not.
He don't got a 3-peat?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, no. Kobe and Shaq got the 3-peat. Magic just got back-to-back.
So what's your point?
But he got 5 championships with one team.
So that's
one team.
That's irrelevant, Dad.
Magic. I mean, you know what? He ain't running all around the place. No, we just looking at some things.
It doesn't matter though.
It does matter.
No, it doesn't.
Does matter.
No, it doesn't.
It does matter because you know what? These players stayed in one place. One place.
That doesn't make it greater than guys that move.
Yes, it do.
No, it does not.
Why? Because you got to run somewhere else to get a championship.
No, you don't. You don't have
That's what he did. That's what he did.
You don't run there because you have to.
Well, why didn't you stay home and try to bring the pieces and the puzzles to you?
Because sometimes guys don't want to stay there.
Okay.
Like sometimes you.
So he ran to. We talking about the GOAT. We talking about your GOAT. We talking about your GOAT. He ran to Miami.
Hold on. LeBron is not my GOAT.
Who your GOAT? Who your GOAT?
I give it to Mike. So before you try to use that bullshit,
are you feeling okay?
I'm great.
Let me do this. Are you feeling okay?
I'm all right.
Should I give you some questions to make sure you still my son?
But go ahead and say your point.
No, I'm just. I
will say LeBron is a better all-around player than Mike, hands down. He's more complete. But go back to your point.
I'm not gonna say that.
I want you to go back to your point.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know what? I just really looked at it and considered. To me, Magic gotta be in that GOAT conversation.
Yeah, he might just.
And like
one
you said,
down.
To me, like I said, I picked Kobe ahead of LeBron. I got Magic ahead of him, I got Mike ahead of him, and I got Kobe ahead of him.
All right, so how would you rank Mike, Kobe, or Magic?
Well, you know, right now, today, if I was saying it today, you know, Magic is my GOAT today.
So now you pitting Magic over Mike.
I told you that a couple weeks ago.
All right, next topic, because you
okay,
tripping now.
Go ahead.
Tripping now. What makes you pick Magic ahead of Mike?
Huh?
How do you base that?
I don't know. I just feel that.
You're kidding.
You know what? And you know what?
I know you like to win that championship.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I know I'm right.
You're right. I'm gonna keep Mike as number one.
So
but Magic gonna be my number 2.
Why?
Magic gonna be my number 2.
Kobe's stats are better than Magic's. And they got the same amount of rings.
Huh?
And they have the same amount of rings.
But you know what? And then what I'm gonna say,
Kobe's like an assist leader among 2 guards.
I mean, like, you know what? I'm a Kobe. You know what? I'm with Kobe. I'm with Kobe. but I still, like right now, see, like a lot of times, it's not stats that I go by. A lot of people look at stats. I don't go by
I
stats,
don't
man.
go solely by stats,
I don't. I definitely don't go by
but
stats.
I also just know Magic not in that same room with those guys. He's not at that
All right.
table. He
Okay.
at the adjacent table, but he's not at the table with those guys.
Jason who?
He's at the adjacent table. He's at the table next to Kobe, Mike, and LeBron. They over there chilling. You know, he right there though. He's like, yo, what's up, Magic? I see you, baby. Cool. You want? Give my man a drink right there. Champagne on me. That's where he at.
Okay.
Right
My
there.
opinion.
I can pass on the bottle. He that close.
And my thing, Magic is at that table.
Okay. Agree to disagree, player.
Nah, it's all right with me. I enjoyed it.
So the next thing I'm going to talk about is something that kind of had the Twitter world blowing up this week. Kind of even shed my light on something, but you know, Kwame Brown started going off this week. And it's because you got to think about it. Like this guy has been slandered for 2 whole decades. Like 20 years has gone by. And this man finally was like, yo, enough is enough. So I think it started because on All the Smoke podcasts hosted by Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, the topic of Kwame came up on,
And Gilbert Arenas was in that one too, ain't he?
yeah, on their episode with Gilbert Arenas, because Gilbert spent some time in Washington. Gilbert actually, I thought, said some good things about some eye-opening things about what had happened there. But I learned a lot from the situation that I didn't know. You know, growing up, we knew Kwame came out of high school in 2001, right? And the narrative since then was that was Jordan's pick, right? That's what I grew up thinking, like, oh, that was Jordan's guy, right? Come to find out, Kwame Brown, they were drafting Kwame Brown to trade him for Elton Brand, but the owner apparently blocked the trade. So they never wanted Kwame to begin with. They wanted Elton Brand. Also didn't know that Wizards team back then, Jordan was basically constructing an old head squad of like UNC Duke guys. Like he had like an all North Carolina team of these old heads. I never realized that either. Kwame ended up, you know, kind of taking a stand against all the slander, all the people that have ever said anything negative about him. And it just was kind of eye-opening to say, like, did you know those things about Kwame Brown?
I heard that. And after I'm gonna tell you the truth. After I started hearing some things and certain things that were said about him, it changed my thought of even calling him a bum or something like that.
Really?
To me, I don't think he lived up to, and I just want to say it this way, to some people expectations of him. You know, by him being drafted number 1 and all like that.
Do you think Kwame Brown was a bust?
You know what? You know what changed my mind about saying I don't think he lived up to what, and I'll say that again. I don't think he lived up to what everybody expected him to live up to. But you know, when you say he still hung around in the league for 12 years, it got to be a little bit more than a bust.
I disagree that because it's all relative, right? So you got to base it on where a guy was drafted. So if he was drafted 14, 15, you know, even 10 and didn't become a superstar, you can live with that. That's not a bust. Right? But because he was drafted number 1 overall, you know, if you're drafting a guy number 1 overall, you expect a lot of big things from him. Case in point, in modern day or this era, Markelle Fultz being drafted number 1 by the Sixers, right? Markelle Fultz is a bust. Even if he hangs in Orlando for the next 7 years, makes a 10-year career, that's a bust because he didn't reach you're worried the level of expectations that are set for a number one overall pick. So I still stand on Kwame Brown is a bust.
Well, like I said, he didn't live to, like I'm saying, being a number one pick, he should have did a lot more. I mean, like I agree with that, but I don't see how being like that they still kept him in the league for 12 years.
Because he probably was, you know, he was good enough to play in certain places, probably.
So
But
okay, like
so he probably should have been a late first round pick or something like that, you know?
well, maybe he shouldn't even been a first round pick
Yeah, that's what I
compared
said.
to
That's why I
what
said late first round.
well, I mean, like, if you really gonna call that a bust, then he definitely a bust. Because, like I said, he didn't live up to no expectations. He didn't even come close. He didn't even come close to living up to anything for being a number one draft pick, a first overall pick. I was just trying to give him a benefit of the doubt for sticking around for 12 years.
I call a spade a spade. Yeah, he was he was a solid role. He wasn't worth a number one pick.
So he stole money for 12 years, huh?
No, not necessarily. I wouldn't say that. Like, just because you didn't pan out to be a worthy of a number one pick doesn't mean you didn't deserve to be in the league. It just meant, someone misevaluated draft position. But also, if they were trying to trade for Elton Brand, they didn't think he would be there anyway. So, and the other thing about this, that because the No Stopping Kev show is where life meets basketball, you got to think about the impact that those people, those players in Washington had on them. So you got to think about, Kwame explained how, one, Jordan didn't want him, right? So it was constantly, he was constantly being berated. Then he discussed how when they would make him work out like 2.5 hours before the game. Then he would sit on the bench most of the game. Then they're being blown out. The coach puts them in, and they would make it seem like it was his fault that they were losing. So it was a very hostile work environment. And for a guy that's 18, a kid that's 18, what do you think that has on their long-term trajectory? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That was something that I looked at, and I took at, you know what? And I hate to really say this, but you got to remember, a lot of players come in it's a few players that come in the league at 17 or 18, let's say 18 or 19. How many players that you don't think that some of them might have went through the same thing as being that?
Well, think about guys who've come into the league that young. You got guys like Kobe, Kevin Garnett, Tracy McGrady. You got Dwight Howard. They kind of went into places where, with the exception out of that group, I'll say of Kobe, they kind of got to go to places where they were the main guy. They were the guy. Tracy
went to Toronto. If I'm not mistaken, he wasn't the main guy in Toronto. He went into Toronto with Vince Carter. But Vince Carter was the man.
But Vince Carter, what's their relationship though?
I don't even know if they really recognized that they was cousins at that time. I really don't know.
But I'm sure it wasn't a hostile work environment like it was with Kwame going into Washington, where you feel like you're hated, where you're ostracized.
But I don't think that he went in there with that. I don't think he went in there with that Kwame? In there. Yeah, I don't think he went in there. So
when did it start? When did it start? Huh? When do you think it started?
I don't know when it started, but I don't think that. But you know what?
That started from day one.
But you know what? So he was broken the day one. So the day he was drafted, that means his game just went because of that.
Once it's guys respond to things differently, and Gilbert kind of alluded to this too. He knew Kwame wouldn't be able to recover from the damage done in Washington. He needed a fresh start. He needed to go someplace else. So I think that everybody's different, right? You have some people that can respond to a guy like Jordan riding him and he wants to prove Jordan wrong like a Kobe would. Kwame wasn't that guy. Call it what you want. But when you got to think about it, when it's like every other guy on that roster is targeting you and maybe they're trying to build you down and make you strong, whatever. I think they was trying to kind of drive this guy away in a sense. Like they wanted him to know, because mind you, he's the number one overall pick, right? But that's Jordan's team. You know, it's kind of like it's almost like a target on his back, I feel like, because in Jordan's mind, you know, he can't win with a guy like Kwame. He wanted a guy like Elton Brand. So in Jordan's mind, Kwame didn't make the cut, and then all those other guys gonna follow MJ's lead.
Okay, then even saying that, now what about when he got a little older and went to another team?
Then he was, so the point I'm making too about him getting there and it kind of stifling his development. Like I feel like there's some trauma there. Like that's something we don't talk a lot about, but I feel like psychologically that has some impacts. So if you go to another place where maybe guys are more supportive, like you can be more successful. Like I talk about my own basketball journey in high school. I was a sophomore starting at guard. And our senior guard at the time, he holds the school record for points in the season. Eric Cotman with 426 points. My man was a straight bucket getter. And I always think back to how, you know, towards the end of the season, confidence was basically shot. And he passed me the ball on the wing. I was wide open. I passed the shot up. I threw it right back to him. He hit a shot from probably damn near half court. But he told me, he was like, yo, I need you to shoot that. And it was in that moment, I'm like, yo, if Eric believing in me, I gotta make something happen. I gotta take shots. And then he passed it to me the next time down. I cashed out on a three. So I think that there's something to be said for the people that you have around you, whether it's basketball and life in general. You got to have the right people in your circle, because ultimately I think that's going to kind of drive your success.
You know, like you said, I don't know, like when you talk about that, I don't know where, but I figure most people that come out, we can make some kind of excuses. We could say that broke them down. I don't know what kind of mental stress or whatever that did to them. But like, you know what, when you know, or most people, if you go number one in the draft, that's why most of the time, you know that you can play. Like even though when you get a chance to play, you got to get out there and try to prove yourself. And I think as like you were saying, like maybe he shouldn't have been a number one overall pick. I mean, if he was that weak, to me, if he that weak, and most people, you know what? It's just like when you play, sometimes when some people go, or you go to hostile crowds or something like that, that might give you more of an incentive to prove them. Like when you talked about Kobe, and Kobe took people that didn't think that he gonna make it, and you know he used that. You know, like Kwame coming out all this, but like you know what? He never really did anything in the 12 years that he played. So I mean, like you can always blame somebody else, and he stayed in the league 12 years and really never did nothing when he had another chance. He got another chance. It's no matter that, like, you know what, like Coach Ritten taught me, or you know what, every day I wake up, I got a chance to redeem myself or be better. So he had 12 years to redeem himself and get some things together.
Well, he just never was a superstar talent.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, he never did anything. And then he never did anything to be. And that we're gonna talk about.
What are you saying? He didn't do anything. What does that mean?
Look up his career stats.
I got him up.
Okay, what is his career stats?
So for his career, he only averaged. I mean, I'll tell you his best season. So his best season probably was 2003, 2004 in Washington. That was his third year in the league. At 21 years old, he was averaging about 11 points a game and 7 rebounds to go along with zero point 0.7 blocks, so almost a block a game. And then later in his career, he had a couple seasons where he averaged 8 points. Let me see if I can see his average minutes on here. So in his best season where he was averaging 10 and 7, he was playing about 30 minutes per game. Then when he was in LA, he was getting like 27 minutes a game, but he only averaged 8 and like 5 points those years. So I mean that's just what I think he was. I don't. That's why he's a bust at number one in my opinion. I do think he was like a serviceable backup big. Is probably what Kwame Brown is. That's probably where he would have fit for his career. So definitely probably could have been a late first round pick because I mean drafts are always questionable. Second round pick could have been a guy that went undrafted. But that's what I would say he was. He was a solid backup big man.
Well, that, and I think that giving him something.
You can't go from saying the guy wasn't a bust to saying that's a compliment.
Well, like I said, like when you like I would just like I said, I'm just not calling him a total bust because he hung around for 12 years. Now, if you say he a bust for being a number one pick, a number one overall pick, yes, he's a bust.
Well, that's what a bust is. That's
well, most busts like in a category like that don't hang in the league for 12 years.
I think there's some guys that were drafted early in different drafts that managed to hang around.
I don't think none of them hung. Like you know what, we would probably have to do some further research. I don't think they hung around for 12 years.
I'm sure we can find some.
Okay.
I'm sure. Just think about guys that are on benches that were like number 3. Like I'm sure there's some guys out there.
I'm saying number one overall pick. Yes.
Joe Smith. Remember Joe Smith?
Yeah, Joe Smith was kind of tough. Joe Smith had some good years. He had a couple good years.
Yeah, but still, these guys weren't like, in my opinion.
Joe Smith had a few good years.
In my opinion.
You don't think Joe Smith had no good years?
I mean, sure he did, but like, he's still, when I think of a number one overall pick, I'm thinking of a guy that should be an NBA superstar. There's guys that were number one picks that weren't NBA superstars. They were great players.
Joe Smith was the first pick overall?
Yeah.
What year was he first pick overall?
95 by the Warriors. Like Glenn Robertson was someone that was very good. But, you know, not going to say could have been number one overall. But, you know, a lot of things go into drafting guys. It's hard because you're evaluating college performance and things like that.
You know what? One thing I'm going to say, I think Joe Smith's career was better than Kwame Brown.
Damn near everybody's career was better than Kwame Brown.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm just not going to say, like, oh, he managed to hang around for a lot of guys find ways to hang around in the league, even though they didn't pan out to what the expectations were. But I will say this. Something that stands out in Kwame Brown's story is that this dude was a kid from a poor background, had holes in his sneakers going to school, promised his mom one day he would buy her house, and at the age of 18, he bought her a house on a golf course, $1 million home. So for a guy that basically came from nothing to make $64 million playing basketball, that's definitely an accomplishment. And this is a guy who now is very into agriculture, into sustainability. And so you gotta commend him for that. So when he says if you're gonna call me a bust, we need more bust, because I do think Kwame Brown made the best of his opportunities. So
I
I'm not
think
mad
I
at him
think
in that
I think he
regard.
was pretty intelligent too, though. I think that he was kind of smart, and I think that, like you said, for his accomplishments, I think that he did good.
He also could have gone to University of Florida on a full ride academically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, this guy made the most out of his opportunities. It's unfortunate that his basketball career didn't quote unquote work out to number one overall potential, but dude made some great money. And at the end of the day, basketball the isn't isn't the everything in life, should I say? So I'm glad Kwame spoke his piece, came for some people. He also brought up a lot of good points, some things that I didn't even touch on today. But I think I'm gonna just leave it there for now. Until next time, y'all, thank you for tuning in. If you don't already, make sure you follow us on Instagram at the No Stopping Kev Show. And until next time, we'll see you same time, same place next week.